Yeah, so the thing is on TikTok.
Talk tick.
on the talk tick.
Yeah, the talk tick is a cool kid to say.
That's the knock. That was musically.
On the talk. I know
on the
lingo.
talk.
Yeah.
And no, hey, Whoopi Goldberg is here. Whoopi Goldberg. I almost said Meryl Streep. I don't know.
I forgot how deep,
Very different.
I know.
I forgot how quickly our conversations go off the
Just
rails.
fucking
I know.
derailed.
It's really terrible. Okay.
Yeah,
David.
so I saw a video on TikTok and it was talking about essentially like the rule of like heroic deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was saying that essentially it's just like against all odds, if his characters meet 3 certain criteria, then the player can sacrifice their character, and if they can describe it realistically, end the battle or do whatever they want to do.
Oh, interesting. So, like, they get to define kind of an outcome of
Yeah.
their death?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the 3 criteria, if I can remember correctly, one of them was that, okay, either their HP or the collective party's HP had to be below 25%.
Okay.
Second one was that either the character had to have gone down to 0 or 2 party members had to be currently at 0 hit points.
Okay.
And the third criteria was that they had to be able to realistically describe exactly what they're going to do and how it's going to affect it and the outcome and everything else.
That is so much.
Is
That's
there a
lot of
role
extra
to it at
steps.
all, or
No,
is it,
no.
it's just based on those 3 criteria?
Yeah, you have to hit
Wow.
all 3 of those criteria. And but again, but your character's dead. Like that is I am not.
I am
like,
sacrificing
There's no
this
role
character.
because this character's not gonna be here.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes
I mean,
sense. Okay.
I don't know.
Like the
I
role part.
I mean-
liked it a lot, but I am also really big in heroic deaths.
yes,
mean,
and
I'm
also
a sucker for
I
her
know.
deaths.
I just,
Can you tell?
I don't know how you do that in like ending of a battle. That's my issue. It's like if there's still enemies left, like how to like. I guess that that's kind of the point of the criteria, how to exactly explain it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if there's still enemies left, how do you explain them stopping the fight?
Well, I think like the idea is kind of like the like Aragorn pulling like like that mount off the cliff edge. You
Yeah,
know that
yeah.
scene in like
Yeah,
Lord of the
yeah,
Rings,
exactly,
right? Where
yeah.
it's like
that makes sense.
Matt, plug your ears. I know.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh,
it doesn't matter.
But
I'm
like
gonna forget all
in
this.
that situation, he doesn't actually die. But like that's kind of the premise is that the player in that situation would be like, okay, this creature's messing us all up. I'm really low on health. I am going to pull the creature off the cliff, and the DM would say, "You're gonna die," and he says, "I know."
Yep.
Right. There would be no strength check. There would be no grapple check. It would
Exactly.
just happen.
Yeah.
With the knowledge that the player is permanently killing their character.
Wow.
Um,
so knowledge of the impending doom, but it's just like
Yeah.
it's a for sure.
It's cool.
It's a cinematic
And then,
thing
I-
entirely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think one
Yeah,
example
very.
that was given for spellcasters was like they're pulling on magics that like they can't control or are
Or using
Or-
the blood magic thing where they're costing them
pretty
kind of
much, yeah,
force.
pretty much. Where
Which
I
that's
think
my
one of them
favorite
that was described was, or an example was that like it was like a 3rd level wizard
Mm-hmm.
or something, but he used like an 8th level spell or something.
But like it rips his body apart. in the
Yeah, and
process.
he
Wow,
sacrifices his life and
that's
everything.
cool.
It might not have been
Huh.
that high or that much of a
Mhm.
difference or whatever, but or I think he had access to 3rd level spells, but he's like a 5th or something like that.
Interesting.
I like it.
I love
I
it.
think that's cool.
I mean, it's really at its core, it's just an extension of Rule of Cool.
Exactly.
Right? Like it has no mechanical basis, and I think that's what is kind of cool about it.
Yeah.
Is, I mean, if you're willing to sacrifice your character as a DM, I kind of like the idea of you getting to define the circumstances of your
Yeah,
death and
yeah.
having a really
Yeah.
cool moment in the process. I think it could be abused if people aren't overly invested in their characters.
Well, and that's why those 3 criteria
He's
are
about
in
to do a
place.
cough name.
Yeah,
Because
Probably shouldn't.
me.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of people that probably
it would-
like they play a character for a session or two and they're just like, I'm not feeling it.
I mean,
and
it
then
would
they
be me
try
too.
and pull that off.
Yeah.
But that's why 3 criteria in place where
Mhm.
there's the have to be below 25% health and
The
had to have gone
collective
down
party.
to 0.
Yeah.
Either you or the party, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I could be wrong on that.
Because I can understand like the collective party.
Am I-
If
am I-
it's
am I-
just you, I feel like it could get abused.
Well,
a lot.
if it's just
Yeah.
you, but you also had to have gone down to 0,
At
or
some
or two people.
or
Yeah.
2 party members
Yeah.
are at 0,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to describe it realistically. So it can't just be like,
Like no,
well,
the criteria
I'm gonna
are.
sacrifice my player because and I'm going to I'm just going to sacrifice them and we win. Like
Yeah, no,
it
the
has to be-
criteria are set up decently.
But
Yeah.
like it opens the doorway for like really cool, for lack of a better word, like anime moments right, that are just like
100%.
ridiculous.
100%.
Cinematic.
It's like I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump into the dragon's mouth and like kill it from the inside. And it's like, oh, you're gonna die. It's like,
That was an example that was used in like comment section or whatever. Was that it was someone was a dwarf and he had just kind of grown tired of his character, and he had the barbarian just huck him into into I think it was a Tarrasque's mouth,
Oh god.
and he had an orb of annihilation.
Oh.
That will do it. That will do
Yeah,
it.
and then instead of having to roll damage for the orb of annihilation, you can just make it
Real cool, eh?
cinematic.
it just
Yeah.
happens.
Or you hop in there and you break your
Well-
staff of the Archmage.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Essentially, you
But-
go in there with a bomb.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And but I really like
Well,
this.
see,
I
that,
think it's
that's
cool.
really cool because I do agree. I think that lends so much to like a really good cinematic moment that could play out for everyone so well. But again, I feel like that criteria has to be really specific.
Yes.
You know,
It
like
does,
it has
because
to
it
be,
can
and
be
they have to be.
easily used.
This is
Well,
the only option.
And
kinda,
like
you
most
know.
things, it has to be a rule that's put in place with the knowledge of everyone in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Knowing not to abuse it, not to be a dick about it,
Yep.
you know?
You have to have trust between the players.
Oh, yeah,
As we-
totally.
like, and that's every game for every situation. Like, if,
Yeah.
if the players don't trust
All right.
each other
Right.
and work together, you're not going to have a fun game.
No.
But
Yeah.
I was just going to say that like death by the book is the most like boring and disappointing shit in 5th edition.
Yeah,
in
you
my
just
opinion.
die.
Yeah.
Falling unconscious, so
And then
you're
you
just,
just bleed
unconscious,
out. Yeah,
and then
and
you
you
bleed
just-
out. I mean,
yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
why I
We
implemented the
ruled
whole.
the whole. You're conscious, but you're bleeding.
Yeah, you're bleeding
Yeah.
out. So like you get last words because like I'm a sucker for last words.
Yeah.
Like that's just a cool thing to
Well, yeah.
have.
I mean, a really big thing, maybe not for everyone who plays, but like a huge part of like Dungeons and Dragons as a whole is like role playing. Like it's a role playing game, and so if you're not going to actually have those last words, I mean,
I feel like that's
big
weird because I
role-playing
feel
thing.
like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people I know that just come to the table for the combat.
Well, and that's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But
That's just not really.
but
our
is
table.
that defined by the group?
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
no,
not
that rule
our
would
game, that's
definitely
not our
the rule would
yeah,
have
that's
to be
not our
able
way
to,
of playing.
Like,
Yep.
We're very
everyone would have to
cinematic.
be on board with like all
Yeah.
role play and
yeah,
stuff. So.
and piggybacking on what Lizzie said, like it's if you build up your character for months, literal months in some cases, and then the last thing your character says is ha ha, I attack, right? Like that's really disappointing.
Yeah, that's not fun.
And like your character just goes in and you roll dice and then you eventually die. Like to give someone some sort of bookend, I think when you're in an RP group is not only like fun, it's necessary because otherwise it just feels anticlimactic and kind of cheap. Like you just don't have a
doesn't
good
matter.
yeah. You just they're just unconscious and they bled out. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like a dragon chucking someone out of a
Yeah.
stained glass window, so you don't get to see them die.
Yeah, no one wants to just be like fucking dropped off a cliff, right? Like,
Yeah, woo!
it's just so
I mean, we got our last
unsatisfying.
words, our last
welcome.
thoughts, our last visions in some cases.
Yeah, like I gave Lizzie a last
You only get
vision.
visions.
Yeah,
you
that
only
was
get
cool.
visions if you take potato drugs and have weird trips
Yeah.
with the great boogaloo.
No, I
Great boogaloo.
I
The
think
great boogaloo.
that like last words and stuff, that's very important. But I think also it's kind of nice for the player to get some kind of semblance of what their character's afterlife is too.
Yeah.
I think that's nice too, because then
Like,
it just
well,
ends
like having
there,
the
and it's
uncanny
like,
Like sometimes there's really
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't
we
even
got
have to
to
be
have,
like
afterlife stuff
physical.
there.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
sadly when Gruul died.
Yeah.
Like Tim did a really good job of that connection between
Gave us a chance to
Grossel
like
and Gruul,
say goodbye.
like a spiritual connection and a spiritual kind of goodbye.
And so maybe we didn't get to see exactly
now
what happened
Grossel's
to
gonna
Gruul,
become a
but it's
villain.
like you can, oh my gosh,
Well-
you can infer what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I don't like being like, oh, now you're in Elysium. Here's what Elysium looks like, right?
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
that's-
Yeah, you're not gonna
that's- that
describe
just,
the
that just
heaven.
ruins
Like-
kind of the mysticism of death.
I don't think Gruul would be okay with Elysium
But
anyway.
I think
Oh my gosh.
I think having those moments, just as a DM, if a character dies, what you want to do is give them the opportunity to have as much closure with that character as possible.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
why when your character died, I'm like, I'm not going to kill your character when you have a brother and you don't get to
Yeah.
like have some sort of final exchange. Like that needed to happen. And
I mean, that definitely would have drawn Grossel down a darker path. I
yeah,
bet.
but like I think that would have been very unsatisfying for not the characters. Characters being upset is good, but players being upset is not. And I feel
Yes.
like if I killed
Yeah.
Gruul without Ricky having a chance to talk to Matt, Ricky and Matt would be upset about that.
Yes,
and I
yeah,
I wouldn't
very much so.
wouldn't want to do that to you guys.
Yeah.
It sucks to lose a character unexpectedly. It would really suck if your DM just was like, "Oh, okay, and you're dead now, and yeah, you don't get to have any
Yeah,
cool
moving on
moments
to
or
the
whatever."
next travel
right?
or whatever the
Like
hell the rest of the party's
people want to have their character's death feel important, and I think
Yeah.
that rule does a great job of it. And we might
Yeah.
have to
See,
implement it.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
again, we
that's
should-
that's a cool implementation.
That's
I,
cool.
I was gonna bring it up to Justin before today's session and everything.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Well, bring it up to him at some point.
But I'm like,
I'm essentially doing the same thing,
I-
but without
except-
the
except-
rule.
well, kind of, except we can't actually do that because per the criteria,
Yeah.
we haven't met any of them.
To be fair,
That's
I think
true,
we
we
could
haven't-
substitute to
yeah.
one person literally die.
No, my health is not quite below 25%.
Yeah.
It's
But I
pretty
mean,
close.
I feel like we could substitute part of that criteria to the fact that literally one of the NPCs, I guess, but one of the party members literally was killed in one turn. You know, like
Maybe. I mean,
In
it's-
the, I feel like in the sense of like an overwhelming foe, I guess
Yeah.
you could substitute like, you know,
It
like
would all
you
be
can
DM
like,
discretion.
you know, like seeing a force of like, there's
Oh,
no
dear God.
way to win.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like the only issue with that is sometimes DMs throw something at you that is essentially, like Matt said, this area is too high of a level.
Yeah.
Come back later, right?
Yeah.
And it's essentially the
Yeah.
DM just saying, hey, get the hell out of here. This is a challenge for later. I'm introducing a plot thread that's going to be relevant later on.
Yeah.
You can come back and kick this guy's ass who right now is
Yeah.
kicking your ass.
Yeah.
That is basically exactly what happened today.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
and I
the
think-
portal-
I mean,
that is
but
the
that's
only
basic
portal
theme.
so open,
It is.
like-
That's
Yeah.
a basic theme of
And-
a
yeah.
plot,
And
of
what
like
I'm-
even a game or a movie or anything.
What I'm saying is that
Yeah.
that rule might kind of undermine that a little bit.
A little bit.
Where someone's like, okay, well, I'll just sacrifice my character and then we can beat this evil guy now, which is kind of undermines the DM's intent. But guess what? Players undermine the DM's intent all the frickin' time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would also depend on how it's set up. Like if Crest in today's session was like, you know what, I'll just tackle him, hold his wings, go off the edge.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
That wouldn't have
he
worked.
has too much
You have
HP
a
for that.
strength of
It's not gonna.
Yeah, he
do
would
You
it.
have a
Well,
strength of 6. You
that's-
wouldn't even
yes.
gotten the grapple in. dude.
Disregarding
He would have
seven.
bumped you and
strength.
just boom, just
Yeah.
Oh my
whacked
gosh.
you right off.
But like yeah, like it can definitely easily undermine. But
Yeah,
I don't know, but I feel-
the
I think-
DM's
I feel like
smart and
in
is
a
like-
situation like this, the preferred outcome of sacrificing your character isn't to beat the guy; it's
No,
to let
to
the
let everyone
party
get away.
escape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
is
So that wouldn't be
essentially
bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
Laodin's doing
Yes.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yes.
My character is being a
Like a
But
chew
but-
toy kind of. Yeah.
Chew toy.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Laodin is
I want to
the
go back
state
to
of the
one of your
toy.
topics, which was the idea of casting spells at a higher level at the cost of life, like HP, essence, whatever you want to
That's what I
call
said.
So
it.
like the blood.
I saw a
flow.
TikTok on that too.
I love that idea.
That is so.
I,
I think-
also love the idea of blood magic,
That
but I
kind
also
of, I think, falls under the same sort of criteria as the heroic death thing.
kind of.
Yes.
kind of.
Not
So
quite
it-
as strict, maybe.
It would
but
have to be like a last
dire
then.
situation.
a situation that only you can really be like. If I think we talked about the idea is that like you are out of spell slots,
Yeah.
you have nothing left. All you
Yeah.
have is your
No
HP.
heals,
there
nobody
is
has heals.
nothing, to do. Like I feel like blood magic should only be like you are out of spell slots. That has to be one of the criteria.
Oh, definitely.
I-
That definitely should be, yeah. Because it's magic. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, Tim.
I think it would be cool in a group where people are heavily into roleplay. I
Yeah.
think it could possibly work in this group. If it's not, then it's terrible. Because
Yeah.
if someone just makes a character and they can, whittle their life away with spell slots, they don't mind.
Yeah, it's not, they don't have the same
Their
impact.
character, okay, my character's going to die 20 years earlier. I I don't care, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to play this character when he's 60.
Exactly.
You know, if the player doesn't put themselves in the mindset of that actual character, like I've come across this
Somebody's phone.
in a different way with
Gonna
Devils,
the mic.
because I like Devils a lot. And the whole thing with Devils is you sell your soul, right? Or you can. If you have a player that isn't invested in their character or in the game, they'll sell their soul willy-nilly. Because
Yeah.
guess what? When their character dies, they don't have to.
You have a reason
They
to
don't have to keep playing the character in hell. They
No.
don't have any actual tangible repercussion for selling their soul. They just make a new character and oh, my character's in hell. I guess whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
when
who
in
cares?
reality, like selling your soul, if you know you were in this fictional world, is a big freaking deal because you are signing your afterlife away to eternal agony.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if the player isn't willing to actually like wrestle with that concept, the actual weight of selling one's soul
Is
is
kind of
far
just
less
taken.
impactful. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the same thing with this, right? Is if you
Yeah.
had someone who was deeply involved in roleplay, and you know every time they did this, like the DM describes kind of how their skin is growing older, and like they have like confessions with other people that they explain what they're doing, and like you know how they wonder about how this is going to affect them later on, and you know, will I ever be able to have a family? Am I killing myself here so that even if I survive, I've got 10 years left, you know, like that could be really powerful. But if you're just like, I'm a sorcerer and I'm an elf anyway, so I have 800 more years to live,
Yeah.
and I'll
Yeah.
sell my wife away and whatever I get to cast Meteor Swarm. Like it's
It's just
all
not-
based on the player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The player
no, I-
and just the party in
Also,
general.
thinking about the criteria of like spell slots in particular, warlocks would totally bypass because at max level they have what 5 spells.
5.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
They
you
would
get, like,
burn
the 3
through it
spell
like
slots
that.
and then a few,
you
Well,
know.
no, you have 5 spell slots, and then you have
like 1
4.
7th, 1.
yeah 1
Four-
6,
four
1 7,
Mystic
1 8,
Arcane.
1 9. Yeah.
Yeah, so
do love
they would
warlock.
Yeah.
they would burn through that really quick, which is you know.
Crest would have probably already been.
But to be fair, if you're a warlock, 99% of the time you're using Eldritch Blast because that's just.
listen, it's.
I'm not saying it's a
so
bad
good.
thing. That's
It's
just
Warlock-
it's the
that's
best
just
cantrip.
It's the best
Warlocks
cantrip in the
of
game,
fucking
combat-wise.
martial
Yeah.
class. They are. Like they're
The martial-
set up
yeah.
like a martial
I-
class.
Yep.
they are half casters. That's what they are. Yeah.
I mean, Balasar was hands down my favorite character, and like half of that was Balasar, half of that was just Warlock.
Warlock's fun.
It's
I
just
love
a
it.
It
fun-
is super
Well,
fun.
there's so much you can do. I mean,
Hexblade's
like,
still my favorite. I would love to replay the character I made for the end of campaign 1. I can't remember what his name was. I think it was shortened to like
Oh,
Oryx or
yeah,
something.
'cause
but-
he was in the,
Oxyrian.
Oxyrian, yeah.
Obsidian!
which was the idea of a half
Oxymorphs.
cleric, half warlock, which was Hexblade, and then I can't remember what the cleric was.
Oh no, cleric.
I can't remember what the cleric archetype was, but I loved the idea. I just implemented it at the wrong friggin' time.
Well,
Fuck
yeah,
you,
that
phone.
end was. Lizzie, what were you saying?
Oh, it was just
Strange
about the,
question. Or
Oh,
is that
fuck,
Justin
I don't remember
DeMille?
exactly what it was. It was about like the warlock class in general.
It's not to me.
All right.
Just checking.
Yeah, just saying like the
You just
warlock
ask
is
him
probably
when
one
the
of my
episode will go
favorites
up.
too. I really like
which
to do it
I
for a
have no
campaign.
fucking clue.
It's like the mechanics.
I have to
just
decide
in
if I wanna
general, like
put
the actual
visuals with this or
gameplay
not.
of playing a warlock is just really cool. There's so many options, and
'Cause I don't
also
know if I
like
just
roleplay wise,
post a black
there's
video,
so
you know?
much you can do.
Beefy
Because
fat cock over it.
I mean, like, sure, the books have the patrons, but I mean, you can have anyone as your patron. I mean,
I thought about
what's
just like
the fucking bitch in
recording
your
a
campaign?
game
I
or
don't
something
know if
and
any
just
of them
putting
know who my
that
patron is.
on-
No.
You know who my
I know who
patron
your
is,
patron
and
is,
like
yes.
it's
In
really
Greysteel?
cool. So
Well, yeah.
yeah, in
Yeah.
Greysteel.
It's exactly. My favorite thing about Warlocks and with Balasar is the backstory writes itself.
Yeah.
Right? Like you
Yes.
don't have to you
fair,
don't
I
have to
ruined
go
it.
too far. You didn't ruin it.
I ruined your
The-
backstory.
you don't have to
Bruh.
go too far. You're like, okay, this person was so desperate that they had to reach out to like some unknown freaky ass sub deity thing that they don't fully understand.
Yep.
What got that person that desperate? And that's just like a
Yeah.
writing prompt they give you in elementary school, right? It's
Warlock is so much fun to roleplay.
Mhm.
Because you want to be like a morally good person most of the time, and then you grapple with this objectively real shady thing that you're doing.
yeah, unless you're like
It's
Archfey or
very-
something, which has like a little
But
more.
even Archfey,
There's much more,
Uh,
but sometimes.
Unless
even
you know
neutrality
you
too,
decide to
so,
switch to celestial and become the warlock of a
Yeah.
nice god.
Yeah.
But then you're just a cleric.
Honestly,
Listen,
yeah, you're just like a paladin or
just
something.
because,
shittier,
just because
you
I
know?
heal
Shitty
people don't mean I'm a
cleric.
cleric.
Yikes.
I still use Eldritch Blast.
Eldritch Blast,
That's
yes.
true.
No, warlocks
Yeah,
are
water,
hunters
water,
and-
use
Galadriel,
fucking squirt gun.
easily my favorite character.
Yeah, yeah, and
You did a really good job of the ranger warlock mix, though.
That was so much fun.
And I remember
man.
your original intention was
Talion.
Talion
I
from.
wanted to emulate Talion.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I would.
from
Shadow
of Mordor.
Shadow
Ranger.
And
Dude, I loved.
he ended up just being his own dude, but like
Yeah.
it was.
Didn't we get into D&D when that was coming out? Wasn't
kind
it
of
around the same
Shadow
time?
of Mordor. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit before, but yeah.
Yeah.
there's no, I also
I
really
loved-
loved playing your patron.
Yeah,
you know?
dude, Emil.
Oh my god,
Emil,
Emil was so
because
sick.
he seemed okay, but it's also like I can't question what you want me to do. Why am I planting a seed in the middle of a city?
Yep.
There's some
And-
like sus things.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, and that's the deal with Archfey. Is you're like,
Yeah.
I know I can't trust this dude.
Yeah.
But if they're your patron, too bad.
Yeah.
Like you just,
yeah, like you
just
don't have
to.
another option. That's
Oh,
like
yeah,
what's
like-
that's what's
In-
scary
in the
about
case
the
of
world,
Galadriel.
Yep.
honestly.
Like,
That's the scariest part.
you know, he died in the Underdark,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mhm.
lightning bolt, dead,
Yep.
and he got reincarnated
Oh.
by his patron.
I
Yeah.
fucking I
So
forgot about
it's
the
like-
reincarnation. We
Yeah,
were
that
just
was
like, what
crazy.
if you're a tiefling?
No, but like this
Oh
is
my
the guy
God,
that
that was
literally
so
gave
terrible.
me another chance at life and is
Yeah.
going to give me the power to possibly save my family. Like
Yeah.
To be
that's,
fair,
How can you
yeah.
say no?
He
to
did
him?
kind
How
of
can
give you
disobey
cancer,
him?
where he's like, you went from
Yeah.
elf to human, so you lost like 700 years of
well,
life.
I was actually going to bring that up because we were talking about
That's
the blood
true.
magic and stuff, and how
Mhm.
if you're not into role playing, who cares? Similarly with Galadriel, who was a wood elf, who had his lifespan reduced by
Like
Centuries?
like 20-fold. Like
Yeah.
like
he
8.
became a
10-fold,
human.
yeah, like-
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and like if I was one of those players that just didn't give a shit, it's like, oh well,
I
you
know.
know,
I
now.
still kind of look like an elf. Yeah.
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 I'm a pretty human.
Yeah, I realized that looking back, campaign 1, honestly, like there are times I look back at that campaign, I'm like, man, I did a really good job there. And then sometimes I look back and I'm like, I used a lot of Deus Ex. The gods come in, it's like, no, it is not your time yet, child. And like,
Well, I
Is that,
feel
like,
like I
one
feel like for a
time?
lot of DMs, that's the easy way to fix like either a player death or you know
Yeah.
something that they don't want someone to
yeah.
die.
Have a
And then
godly
now I'm
intervention.
just a heartless bastard that if someone dies, someone dies.
And like to be fair,
Which is fair.
we had been talking about a patron.
That's
and
true.
We had been leading up.
That's
That
true.
that was.
It wasn't just out of nowhere.
It was
Yeah.
like perfect.
I
It
loved
was great.
playing Galadriel when he had his patron, but like the part leading up to it, that was probably some of the most fun I had with that character.
It's like looking for faith almost
yeah,
in a weird way.
and I was just like
Yeah.
hearing like things just happening, you know, and it was just like, what the fuck, like.
Yeah.
What
I
was
was
the deal
just-
with like the silver elk and the bow?
Yeah, I
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
that was
I remember
so
that
amazing.
because
Hearing about
I
this.
literally just rolled a survival check to go hunting,
Uh-huh.
and I rolled a nat
really-
20.
Yeah, yeah.
I rolled a nat 20, and
Yeah.
then you had me just go for a walk, and I had this vision of this like silver glowing elk that just kind of approached me, bowed its head, and a flash of light, it was gone, and a silver longbow was where it touched its nose to the ground.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
one
was
of
like,
my favorite, just like
that was-
improv moments.
that was just
Yeah. That is.
one of the coolest things that happened in that campaign to me. You know, like it was so fucking neat.
I don't remember
To
when
be
I had
fair,
a cool
also
plot book
the
and then
Temple of
you did.
Valzoon.
I remember
Yeah.
Temple
that
of
was
Valzoon was
yeah.
easily one of my favorites.
Valzoon was very special.
Valzoon was so good because that pulled out of all of us, and that's like your session too, and that's what
yeah, that was
pulled
literally
you in.
the
That's
third
cool.
session I was part of the campaign.
Yeah. Do you know what the Valzoon is?
It's crazy. I know
No.
I wasn't there for that.
Valzoon.
but-
Okay, so Valzoon was a lost city.
Okay.
The heart of Valzoon. Do you know the Hand of Hades, right? No.
Yeah, roughly.
A-
Yeah.
Anyway, in campaign 1,
It's like the four
I had
artifacts.
4 powerful artifacts in
Yeah.
the world,
Each
and they
represented-
represented
it-
each
it's
pinnacle
a
of
different
light
domain,
of existence: light, darkness, life, and death.
Yeah.
Mm.
The Heart of Valzoon was the one that represented life, and it was an object that created water endlessly. And so there
Among
was an
other
entire
things.
yeah, among other things.
Yeah.
Poison resistance.
So there was an entire civilization built around this artifact in a desert.
Didn't even get to
because
really
it
use the
created
thing.
water
Yeah.
endlessly, so they could do this. But it was basically Egypt, right? And then it was ancient Egypt fell apart. So
Yeah.
they had to go diving through an ancient Egyptian temple essentially.
We actually ran
That's
into
really
Yuan Ti, I believe.
The Yuan-Ti, yeah.
Really?
But
We
they
ran
weren't.
into
They're
them.
not
I know that.
evil in my world.
No, they were more of just
ancient.
you made them how I believe how most people make them, which is cold.
Yeah.
Like they aren't evil.
Well-
they simply
Well,
just
you don't really
So,
know
like-
because
like
you ran
true
into
neutral,
one
pretty much?
Yuan-Ti immortal that was just the guardian of the heart.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also by the
Wow.
book, Yuan-Ti are literally motionless. They are completely
Yeah.
logical.
and I think you did a
and
good job
everything
of
else.
portraying
They-
that.
Like,
That's what I
they,
I remember-
they have no emotions whatsoever.
We had that vision of like the blue dragon destroying the city. That
Yes.
was really
Wow.
cool.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
really cool.
yeah. I forgot there was because the 4 or the 5 dragons of old that Arthur
Yeah,
and his gang killed. Real creative name.
Also,
there,
a
Shane.
half elven, half orcish individual. That was a good twist. Didn't think
Yeah.
about that.
Oh,
yeah,
or
Orgul.
Ghoul.
Orgul is a
But
half
anyway,
elf, half orc.
Yeah.
Getting off topic.
that's
The
right.
Heart of
Sorry.
Valzoon. There was a lot of dungeon diving, normal stuff.
That was probably one of my favorite classic dungeons. that
Yeah,
we did.
yeah. There was the puzzle, the before you lies 3 cups of gold.
Yeah, that was really
sort of
like the
riddle
first
That's
thing.
so cool.
dungeon I had ever been a part of
Yeah.
in D&D.
And then there was a fight at the end, but like the last thing before they got to get the heart was a room that just wordlessly asked the question. It was like there was a pedestal, I think, and an
Yeah.
object in the middle. It was a
And-
circular room,
Yeah, the walls were like blank.
vaguely like magically sheened, and the room wordlessly asked, "Show me what you love."
Oh.
I think it actually said, "Show me joy."
Was it "Show me joy"?
Yeah.
It was something around that. Show some sort of like happiness.
Yeah,
or something
because
like
the
that.
idea was that the dragons are powerful, but like they don't have that. They don't have love. They don't have joy.
Yeah.
So to keep this out of the hands of the dragon, so each player, each character had to come up and place their hand on the pedestal, and as they thought of a memory, it was displayed on the walls.
Which Shins, I believe, with his family, was like a memory of like meeting his family. Family.
Theseus
Weird
is-
backstory.
Him with his father.
Him with his father. His father, Poseidon,
Poseidon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
showing
Straight
him
up.
like
To
the
be
ocean
fair,
and
mine
his
was a
domain.
friggin'
He was
demon
lying.
family.
He goes,
Yeah.
everything the light
Basically.
touches, my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a really special moment where me being brand new and being threatened, I don't even know who this character is, right? I think that was the session that I had written a backstory
Oh
on
my gosh.
just a sheet of paper and handed it. It was like a paragraph, and that was Galadriel's backstory for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was really cool because it gave me a sense of like who these characters are and made me feel like a part of the party
Yeah.
when I had just joined.
Like that,
you know?
yeah.
I was just some wandering vagrant, basically.
Yeah, you were
That
like
had a
just,
Hydra
yeah.
heart.
You
Erica's,
did have a Hydra.
yeah,
heart. You-
Erica's
you lost your
character,
entire family.
Erica's
Or not
character
family,
just
but-
like saw me wandering.
Close
Was like on her watch. Everyone else is asleep. She's like, "Hey, come back to our camp, stranger." And I was like,
Aw.
I don't know how to roleplay. Sure, okay, you know. I was like, I guess my head is gonna be hung down low because I just watched my whole party die to a Hydra, you know.
Damn.
And so, yeah, she brought me back to the camp, and then like in the morning, Theseus woke up to some dude. So he's like, "Who the
There.
hell are you?" Like,
Nice. That's
but yeah, it was really a cool, special moment that really helped me find out who my character was because for me, this was one of my favorite moments for a few different reasons. One, because I got to know kind of the party, I got to feel like part of the party. But for me, my joy was I thought back to my wedding day, and then Tim described, you know, you look to your husband, your future husband. Like that was like the reveal that Galadriel was gay, but like it wasn't a big deal, you know. It was just
Yeah.
kind of like
there.
everyone just went,
thing.
"Oh,
It's just-
cool," you
it just
know.
is what it is.
And it was
yeah.
just it was a really cool moment, I think.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I,
no, definitely.
I think that's kind of what I've struggled with as a DM is those moments like engage players, but they also are twofold. They serve to bond the party in
Yeah,
character. together.
absolutely.
And like, it's sometimes hard to do that early on.
Yeah,
but
it-
getting, but
It's
but
one
like
thing to
those
sit
moments
around the
you-
table and discuss our different backstories. It's another thing to literally
To like act
see
it
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think with Justin's campaign with this one that we just played, I think we instigated it kind of ourselves.
Yeah, we made ourselves
Like,
a
he
moment to
gave-
bond, which is cool.
Justin gave a moment for you in particular, and then you
Yeah.
started revealing, and then it kind of started going around the
Yeah.
table, and we all kind of joined
Well,
in.
And also, like, I could have just not said anything. I could have just been, okay, Valendra's gonna drink and get drunk and then go to sleep. But I was sitting down with Cress and drinking, and
Yeah.
you know, it just felt right to start talking. And then before we knew it, everyone just
Everyone's
kind of
there. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is, I feel like a lot of people have this issue, and I think we do in particular, where we create these characters that we like, but then it's hard to create a character that wants to talk to the party. Like, it's hard
Yeah.
for us to
Well, it's like-
instigate a scenario to
it's
reveal
like
our backstory.
we feel like we have to keep it a secret.
Yeah,
When
for
that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
It's weird too, because I think there's extremes on both sides,
Yes.
right? There's I'm going to keep all my emotions to myself, right? And then there's that other urge you have to fight where it's like, I got this super cool backstory and I want everybody to know about
Yeah.
it. So like
Yeah.
it's some, and I've had sessions where
It's-
sometimes like everyone sits at the bar and it's like, so where are you from? It's like, my entire family was killed by goblins in a raid 7 years ago.
like
Right? And these
very,
players just go off and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, that's oversharing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Like
Yeah.
meeting
To-
first times.
yeah,
like,
to make it feel
I mean,
organic
you
and
can
not
do it,
forced is
it's rough.
incredibly difficult.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
it's-
And I
it's
think
like it-
I think we did a good job of making it feel
kind of
real.
organic.
Yeah.
Because there was a situation that was happening with
Yeah.
your backstory.
It wasn't just
And
out
it
of
became-
nowhere. So by the way,
Yeah.
my sister was kidnapped when I was a kid. You know, like it
It
was.
was like
It was,
within
it
the
was
timeline.
related. You were
There were-
drinking.
Yeah, there were developments. I was
Yeah.
drinking because
be-
of those developments.
Yeah, and it became a
And-
connection point for everyone. It's just like, you're sharing, I want you to know
Yeah.
mine as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's
It was-
like in and out of game. That's a real
Yes.
thing. Like when someone opens up to you,
It's
you-
a moment
you're
of
more
shared
apt to-
vulnerability.
yeah,
Yeah.
like to show that you understand how important that is to them.
Yeah.
Like
You
you're
kind of feel compelled to be like open yourself
Yeah.
up
Exactly.
too.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and it's like in campaign 2, we didn't really have that for like
Okay.
like 7
Campaign
sessions.
2, we had very individualistic.
fair,
It was very
we
individual.
again,
all
we were
made
all
very
individual.
strictly like strong singular characters.
Yeah, and
The,
that's
the
because,
only like good characters, like alignment wise, were
Yours
Arden
and Justin's.
and Armil
and
And
Sarah.
Sarah.
and Sarah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Armil,
Armil
was
was
good,
good at the
he was
beginning,
kind of
and then
fresh.
but
he
I
did
guess.
drugs.
Yeah.
he was, you know, kind of going down a dark path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's because like
Drugs
like coming not playing campaign 1, only campaign 2. Like
You're welcome.
thank you. I heard a couple. I heard. I think it was you and Micaiah or someone that was like, yeah, like I probably mostly Micaiah was like, he didn't want to create somebody like Theseus who was all about the group. He wanted somebody that was
He
a
did-
little bit
he-
more individualistic.
No, see,
Yeah.
he did the Sam Riegel thing because Theseus cared so much about the party that he would give his life in a moment's notice, no matter what the
Yeah.
occasion, which is what he did when he took the hand of Hades and tried
Like
to do
4 separate times. Yes.
and tried to do the finger of death. I think he tried to do finger of death,
Whatever.
Oh my
Touch
God.
of death.
The
The
power
power
word.
word.
Which
yeah.
is power
which
word
is power
He
of
was trying to
and
use
then
his
he
hands,
just
so-
yeeted
Yeah.
himself
Literally
out of
just like-
existence.
Thanos.
You know, and then Jareth was the exact opposite. Jareth was that nothing matters but me. I am
Yeah.
the only thing.
Yeah.
No one else.
I should have just told him no because like
You have to consider the party.
Yeah.
exactly at the end of the day, this is a collaborative role-playing game, and if you cannot find a reason for your character to be a part of the group, your character's not going to be a part of the group.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that was
If you
Weston
make
too.
an asshole character, everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, what an asshole! I
Yeah.
don't want to be friends with this
Well,
guy."
and that's exactly what happened with Weston.
To
Was
be-
that Weston was very
kind
was very
we
much
kinda
so.
all did that.
Yeah, but
Weston was kind of an
Weston
asshole.
was very
I was kind
much
of an
so-
asshole.
I don't
I was
know.
more of an asshole specifically to Weston and Joey.
Yes.
It's kind of a both
Yeah.
thing.
Boy.
But no, Westmore is very much so a fuck you guys. I have this backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to bring back my wife and kids, and fuck all y'all. If I have to kill you all to do it, I'll fucking do it in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
No questions asked. And then when it came down to it, crunch time, and Weston saw everybody going down, and he was hurt a little bit. He's like, okay, and he ran,
Mhm.
and everybody survived, and was like, what the fuck?
Yep.
And then eventually there was some character building and some team building and everything, and Weston was like, okay, like
A little bit.
we all have like
but there
kind of
was
a common
also the
goal,
moment
but-
that me and your character kind of, they're just like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
but here's the thing, you do that again, and we're all gonna be pissed. Like,
Well, it was pretty much you do it again, and either
We're
we'll
gonna-
kill you,
we're
or
gonna
we
come
will
for you,
just
like-
kick you out.
Yeah,
Like,
there was
Yeah.
just so much. And here's the thing, I think you can make an asshole character. I would not recommend it because once again, the players are not going
Yeah.
to enjoy talking to you.
Yeah.
It has
but
to be done
I
right, though.
think you can make an asshole character if you still give that character a reason to be in the group.
exactly.
The problem with Makai's character is he literally like said it
He
himself. He's like,
literally
"There's no
left.
reason for me to work with you guys." Then you're not going
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
that's
can't.
not gonna
I can't force that.
And
Yeah.
like,
to
Weston
be fair,
was like
he was
this-
able to dish out more damage than all
Yeah.
of us.
Well, and that's
by
the thing.
far.
He
It
had-
was such a powerful character that he actually could kind of do it.
he
on
had a
his own.
good reason to be an asshole, but there was nothing else to tie him to the
Well,
group.
and I remember that a big thing in campaign too. I don't remember if you actually said it, but essentially it's like this was going to be a little bit of a darker
Yeah,
version.
right, you're
you
living
know?
in like a dystopian kind
yeah,
of
it's
future.
kind of a dark,
essentially.
and I think all of us were just like, all right, dark time,
Yeah.
and just fucking went
Cranked up the edge.
Yeah, crank
Arden
the edge to
was-
like
Edge
11.
lords.
Arden was very difficult for me to like figure out a backstory for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's raised by storm giants. He's living on that island, and it's like, well, what's going to cause him to leave that island to go be an adventurer? You know. And so what it came down to was like the storm giants, obviously being storm giants, they have these visions. They see what's going on in the world. They just kind of observe. And Arden was just kind of like, I mean, being a human, having known his parents and stuff before storm giants, like that's fucked up.
Yeah, screw that.
Like, like you were like, I think I wrote like
Stop being Switzerland.
when he was like 15 or 15 to 20 or something like that. He had like his first vision, and he's like, hey, what the hell? And he like would have gone to his surrogate father, I guess, and like, hey, this thing just happened, and in all honesty, Halvor probably would have been like, oh yeah, that's the vision. We do that here. Like, you know,
whole time.
like it
Check it
probably
out.
would have been
Did you feel
very
like it?
nonchalant.